Alrighty, so an absolute butt ton has been added to this game since last time. Not only is there obviously a lot of visual changes, there are four different types of enemy AIs, but we will go over all that as well as any additional code that has been added to various things that already existed or attempted. But for now, let's just go ahead and see how it feels at the time for the time being. No health bar or anything yet. You start up on this pillar. All the pillars are destructible. You can see there's a ton of enemies. I just populated in a bunch more of the standard enemies. They will chase you around, and once you're within a certain range, they can see you and hear you. They will begin shooting. There's a lot of these sentry tanks that are up top, but they can also accidentally knock themselves down if someone else blows up their pillar, but you can also blow up their pillar too. And you notice there's a lot of explosion VFX, which I basically just followed a tutorial to create. These sentries also now have certain distances seeing, so once you get close enough, they begin shooting. It's a bit unreliable, and plot maybe should be made smaller for their sake. Yeah, this guy's just chasing us. Oh, there's about. I end up generating about five of them, and they're the same speed as you, so they chase pretty quick. And the sentries don't move at all. I maybe should give them speed when they land on the ground, but as of right now, they have no speed. There's also just these speedster ones that are going back and forth, following these different points that move around, and they're really made with the intention to hopefully just kind of hit you. I don't know if they really can do that effectively. I think he might have just got murdered by someone else. There's also these big old patrol tanks, but they may have also been killed off by some allies because everyone's stuff is kind of just going off each other. Ooh, that might be it right there. That might be a patrol. Oh, that guy just fell off his thing. And as you can see, we just died. There's a little bit of a delay on the death, so you can see your own explosion. Let's try to meet up with one of the big tanks, because that's really the main enemy we didn't see. We saw the speedsters going around. We see your standard tanks. There's an issue. He's about to fall off. Hmm. That's not good. So let's go meet the other one then. And also, your accesses have been locked, so you don't really fall off the stage. Oh, yeah, that's why he's just getting extremely blown up. So they're effective. They're supposed to go in between these corner waypoints. Let me just kind of put one into the side, which is impressive because they do have quite a bit of health. So they also have the ability to swap between patrolling and then going after you. So he's probably gonna go all the way down to that bottom corner, or at least attempt to. But he's gonna see us first and be like, "Oh ho ho, let me just try to shoot you." But part of the thing is they have these pretty long range bullets. They're the same bullets as sentries, but if you're not approaching them from a distance, it doesn't really hurt too much. Yeah, I need to mess back up with the hearing sounds again. I think I might have messed up their range and code because I see they're all shooting anyway when they're really not supposed to. They're only supposed to just do that when you're close to them, so their code has been messed up at least a little bit. Or maybe it's just the prefabs. Sentries. Hearing distance. What is this? Why is it doubling? That is interesting, to say the very least. If I add another AI sentry, it does that same thing. Okay. Interesting. Is it just AI sentry that's messed up then? Maybe I forgot to swap it back. So I ran into an issue where having them being child of AI wasn't really working. Alright. Scripts, controllers, AI sentry. No, it should be back to where it was before. Oh, I still have the overrides in here. Right. Let me just. So I was trying to make fixes to it, but they just were not working. Absolutely were not working. Maybe it was increasing, maybe it was like even doubling its thing by chance. Sentry. Back to normal. See if they work properly. This video is becoming quite long. See, okay, cool. Now they're not shooting all the time. They're idling around. They're rotating towards you. There's a lot of idle stuff where they have functions like that. Now that tank can actually live and patrol properly. Cool. That issue solved. That was a weird issue. That was because I was trying to make them children of the AI class and it just was not working out properly. We are getting blown up to all hell. Thank goodness I chose like some more oranges colored and not another really bright like yellow or something. But now you guys can actually see the game function properly. So that's pretty fantastic. I think the other one might have still fell off, though that's still something I gotta readjust. But yeah, a lot of textures, a lot of stuff have been added. I went through, just basically took some images, but then I brought them into sampler and whatnot to make normal maps. So our material folder has become quite big. I had a couple different options, some of which I did not like, some of which I just modified and messed around with. You can see the explosion stuff here that I followed the video tutorial and they had that available for me. Alrighty, so if we go into prefabs, we have an AI sentry tank. These are its stats. I'm not gonna read every single individual one. AI speed tank. This is the ones you see zooming around. They actually don't have a code that makes them shoot at you. They're to hit you off, hopefully. AI tank, which is your standard AI tank. They're gonna be seeking you, idling. They'll be, which basically just means they'll be chasing you if they can see you or hear you, or they'll begin rotating towards your position with their idle function. Patrol will be swapping back and forth between following its secondary thing, which is often a corner block, as you can see with the ones that are here. They are second target, automatically is corner block. There's code to make you the automatic target. The pillars have code to give health. I've removed a lot of the tank stuff because I basically duplicated an AI to make them, but they have health. They're destructible. Corner block has code that is corner patrol. You get your 4 locations, your 4 corners. Bing, boom, 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 boom. Put them in there. Swap time right now is 10 seconds and 20 seconds because I have a very rectangular field. Chase blocks, swapping between 2 points, where there'll be situations such as, where are my waypoints? Waypoint 1, waypoint 2, or the other waypoint 1, waypoint 2, and you just choose them and it'll be keep going back and forth, and these things will keep attempting to chase after the object in that due time. We have a sentry projectile, which actually uses gravity, which is what you see the sentries using, as well as you see the big tanks. The big tanks have a much greater force of their shooting power. These are your stats currently. Currently, your health at 100, which is honestly at a good place because I made a ton of enemies. Scripts. All right, let's see what's fun. We might as well just kind of go in order as we see them. So, corner patrol. Public transform this block, first location, second location, third location, fourth location. So basically you can just throw your location, your transform into this block, and then these 4 are for putting in your corners in this situation. And public start just kind of makes your position automatically the first location's position goes to swapping. So first position, swap to 1, swapping again, so invokes swap time. Honestly, if your position already is 1, you might want to go to swap again, but then you would need also you need to do some stuff with the invokes. So the invokes are swap times. Swap times used to not be a variable. I made them a variable so they're more easily codable because why not make it more adjustable as you go? Swap to 2, swap to 3, which has the long path time, and swap to 4, which has swap time. But swap to 1 has the long swap time, or at least it should possibly. So swap time, long swap time, swap time. Yeah, this should be long, long path, swap time. Cool. And let's just go ahead and make this swapping again instead of the usual, because that gives you time to start tracing over there rather than chasing them at the corner or already at. There's really no need to mess with too much with the other patrolling one because the one that just goes between the 2 points. This is what I need. It is. Yeah, first location, second location. there was some stuff I was trying to do with the collision on trigger stay. Originally I was using the other on trigger, but it was neither of them were working. So instead, we just went to invoking, swapping again, swap time, and these just kind of create an infinite loop of going between swapping and swapping again, using swap time to with the invoke to delay, going back and forth between this, having the object go to one location, go to the other location, go to one location, go to the other location, while the speed tank continues to chase it. Health and damage on hit have a little bit of a new stuff on there. Basically, with the explosion effect, each of them have a new variable. Public what to spawn. Basically, as your health gets to 0, you now go to die source, which is where you would usually just destroy yourself. There's a little bit of a debug there. Instead, you go to explode now, and within that, you instantiate what to spawn, transform, position, transform, rotation, and then you invoke true dead. So this part could probably actually go into the dead function, and instead we could just invoke from there. Death delay once again is very helpful because a lot of things have health in this game. Not a lot of things need to have a delay. The only thing that really needs to have any sort of death delay is you, because otherwise you won't see yourself explode. Which is why I have that set to about 2 seconds right now, because that's also about how long the explosion lasts. So explosion goes off, delays however long need be, usually a 0 for most other things except for you, and then boom, finally it destroys game object. Damage on hit has a very similar thing, just because I added those tiny little explosions, so whenever you're shooting something, pew pew, instead of being a big explosion like when you die, or a normal explosion like when the enemy dies, you get that. Kind of just goes, you can see the prefab, we have a tiny explosion, a lot of just kind of particles and stuff going on here. Bigger explosion, explosion. They're all the same stats, just different scales. Explosions at 2 times scale, big explosions 4 times, tiny is a 0.5. Back to scripts. Waypoints is kind of just useless code at this point. We tried a lot of things. We have this pretty cool camera one, which kind of hard to tell because a lot of things are going on screen now, but it kind of slowly, smoothly follows you rather than being strictly behind you at all times. I will be fully honest, and I can say I don't fully understand the code for this, but it seems to work and it works well enough. We still have a bit more of just general scripting stuff to do. Health mover, noisemaker, very simple. As of right now, it's just simply setting whenever you're moving at all, whenever your rigid body is moving, because I get your rigid body component. Set your volume distance to 100. And otherwise, if you're not moving, set it to 0. So if you're not moving, they cannot hear you because you create a noise at 100. Which brings us to some sort of listening functions. That's just within the AI, isn't it? So I look at that. Where does it tell me it's listening from? Hearing distance, field of view. It's in AI controller. Okay. Yeah, we'll get there in a second. Pawn, shooter, mover, shooter. We might be heading there right now. We don't really have anything else to look up here. So going into controllers, AI controller. Very basic because we kind of made most of this in class. Hearing distance, I kind of just messed around with what I want to have happen. Base update, make decisions. Within make decisions, this is where I turn off and on a lot of things throughout the different versions. So can hear and see is on here. So basically, there's a lot of just kind of booleans having to go off. So there's also some retargeting that will happen if the type is no, because you don't spawn in the game right away. You get spawned in, but they're already there. So if they don't see you, it will keep making decisions. And if the target is null, it will keep trying to target player 1 until it eventually gets you. It's very nice code. Just kind of keeps going through the list of players until it finds you, until you finally exist within the game. Can here is simply what we made in class. I made some slight alterations possibly to myself, but that's mainly just adding my idle in it. So basically, if you're too far away, it'll idle and it'll try to like move towards your position by just rotating towards you until it can see you or hear you. If it can see you, it will shoot you. Basically, once you're within a certain distance, you'll just start trying to hit you as much as possible. New stage, idle, target, rotate towards, transform, just simple stuff. There's not as many things as there are with the seek state and hear state, where it's just all this chasing you down, hunting you down, and then the can't hear, can't see is what causes it to start shooting at you. Sentry controllers are very simple to explain because what you do with them is you functionally just turn off everything except for can hear because they're not hunting you down, they're not seeking you, they're not chasing you, their speed is 0. They will basically just keep trying to rotate towards you. If they hear you and see you moving, basically, they basically just if they hear you, they will begin shooting at you as much as possible. Just you basically using that same can hear function until possible idle target. Otherwise, they'll just kind of rotate towards your location. But if possible, they will begin shooting at you if you're making noise. Speedsters are very limited in what they do. They simply just seek, as far as I'm aware. Speedsters, base start, make decisions, base update. Yep, all they do is seek. Because they are just constantly chasing the block that they're hunting down after. They are made to hit you off the stage, and that is their main goal. They're just these bumper cars going around. And then that brings us lastly to Patrol, which are the big old tanks. They're kind of made to be almost like a boss fight in a sense. They have 20 health versus the 3 that other people have. You do about 3 damage with each one of your shots, so this thing will take around 7 to kill. This one is back to using a decent amount of functions used once again using the can hear, can see, but it also has some new variables being added to it, at least one new variable being added to it, being a public game object second target, which is the corner object that it likes to follow around. And then I basically just duplicated the seeking function and replaced anywhere where normally it would try to do an idle by instead having a patrol, which is just it hunting down that second target. And this is approximately where the game is at. Let me see if there's any more things I can directly point out on here. Tank type, uh, prefab. Yep, they all have their own prefab, sentry, AI, speed, AI, AI control. They all have been added to the game. Yep. Personalities have been made, indeed. Chase actions, flee actions. Senses, they're definitely going off of seeing and hearing very much a lot. Patrolling loops, they do definitely patrol loops. Vision, hearing, all movement have been extended to steering. They do a lot of movement for sure with different things, different values compared to you, especially because we realized that had to be upscaled. Currently, we are indeed bug and error free. Just any error would basically be like this tank falling off maybe a little bit, but by simply swapping around the thing we did, that might solve the issue because now it's going to try to go to its second pivot point. See, there it goes. Unless it gets saw the tiny tank just randomly run into it, almost fly off itself. So yeah, maybe we move this tank a little bit more away from there, just so it doesn't get as much in the way as it is currently. And that's yeah, that's functioning. That's working for us. It's kind of organized. Comments and coding. We've been commenting quite a bit. Didn't exactly point that out, but it is definitely throughout there. The only code difference between enemies and players is controller type. That is indeed true. They're both all still tank pawns with no check, and even the walls are technically tank pawns. I'm pretty sure. I might turn the tank pawn function off, but it is maybe somewhere still in there. It's kind of just a weird thing where I ran into where I had to basically just lock these down. Yeah. This is the game as of right now. It's just this giant bullet hell of tyranny, just boom, explosions everywhere. No power ups yet. That'll be here for the next milestone. The walls have enough health to take 2 shots. You have 100 health, so you can take a lot of shots, but these bigger bullets do 5 to 10 health depending on who's shooting them. You can spam your shots as much as you want. Ooh, that's something I didn't talk about. Fire rate. I added fire rate to the game. for the enemy, so they can't just spam you. Mainly because they're running into an issue where their bullets are coming out like the exact same frame and just constantly destroying the previous bullet, as far as I could tell. Let me see if I can figure out where that's at. Lifespan, shell force, tank shooter, fire rate. Cool. Cool. Script. Tank shooter. So added fire rate and next fire floats. Shooting. So basically just kind of gets those things: fire force, damage, lifespan. If time is greater than next fire, it adds time to the fire rate until it reaches a certain point. We have a lot of regions within here too. And functionally, once that requirement has been met and the cooldown is done, it will let you shoot. This is simply just added to the void shoot function as a requirement to let the shooting function go off, because I basically just added what was already here on Rigid Body 4, the thing that already existed, just kind of end up going in the middle of this, of the trying to tell, oh, have you waited the fire rate amount of time? Which in this case, I have usually set to either 1 second or 2 seconds. The sentries might actually be up to a 3 second timer. Yes, the sentries are up to a 3 second timer. UA tank has 0, so you have no limit on what you do, because for humans, I'm just leaving up to human error, because you're just sitting here like, if you want to mash this button as fast as possible, yeah, go for it. But nobody's usually going to be pressing it too quickly. Plus, with the amount of enemies I already have in the game, I'm not going to increase your difficulty by letting you only shoot like 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. That would be a hell, and also, in my opinion, which wouldn't be very fun. But yeah, this is the game for the time being. Thank you so much for listening.